Welcome to a Crypto 101 edition of Coffee, Eggs and Inspiration. In this edition, I'm going to talk about different scalability solutions for blockchain. Let's go. So scalability is one of the major impediments and challenges to mainstream cryptocurrency use, and that's because if I take Bitcoin as an example, the transactions per second, because of the sort of proof of work consensus mechanism that it works on, is pretty clunky. It does about 7 transactions per second, and that compares to somebody like Visa, the payment card operator, that can do 20,000 plus per second. So an absolutely massive difference there. And in order for things like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like Ether, etc., to become mainstream, requires a much higher throughput, sort of 20,000 plus, but well, at least approaching that. So in order to solve this, there are different types of solution that people have been working on. The first that I'd like to talk about is the layer 1 versus layer 2 solution. Now what that refers to is the underlying blockchain protocol, so Bitcoin or Ethereum for example. That's layer 1, so that's the sort of core, the spine if you like, of the blockchain. And layer 2 is an interoperable application that sits on top and talks to and interacts with that layer 1. And the way it's been used sort of from an engineering perspective is if you can imagine a highway with just one lane, and that's the layer 1 lane, that's the main blockchain. Imagine if there were lots of little off-ramps where you could take a car off that, do lots of different things to, let's say, complete a transaction, verify an arrangement, and then drive back onto the motorway and then get that packaged up outcome validated. That's kind of what it does. So it sort of sets up a system of sort of parallel processing. So layer 2 sits on top of layer 1. Now an example of that, so if we take Bitcoin as an example, a layer 2 protocol that works with layer 1 Bitcoin is the Lightning Network. And that's a solution that Bitcoin as a blockchain technology has come up with in order to improve that number of transactions per second. Other than that, what you've got to do is actually just make improvements to the way that layer 1 works. So that's the second category of scalability solution I want to talk about. And again here there are lots of developing schools of thought and types of solution here. Probably the one that is most commonly referred to is sharding. And sharding is, if you imagine once again sort of a big blockchain, literally a centipede of blocks, so to speak, and in a typical blockchain network, all of the nodes that participate in the validation of that blockchain will have an exact copy of this. So you're sort of dealing with a monster, so to speak, each time. Sharding cuts that up into mini chunks, and it assigns those chunks, called shards, to different nodes to do the validation work on them. And what that means is that you no longer you've no longer got one single critical path that sort of stretches from end to end, but you've got a number of shards that can kind of operate in parallel. So sharding is a type of layer 1 improvement. Another type of layer 1 improvement that picks up the scalability and the transactions per second is the type of consensus protocol that's used by the blockchain. Proof of work is the main one, the mainstream one, but proof of stake, where individuals sort of stake coins to win the right to be a validator, is the second type, and that's much more efficient and much faster than the proof of work concept. So there are a few examples of scalability in the blockchain. Hope you enjoyed that.